Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Motorboating with Mammeries. This is Tanks for the Mammeries, and the series is Between Two Warships. And I'm very excited this evening to have someone that you guys are all going to know and recognize join us in some conversation while we play some warships. We're very fortunate to have, hailing from Toronto, Ontario, in the Great White North, Chase from iChaseGaming, prominent YouTuber, Twitch TV personality, and alpha tester for North America and the EU servers, super tester, closed beta tester, and member of Navy Gaming North American clan. He currently has over 90 videos in World of Warships and 8 playlists, two of those most popular being the Captain's Academy and the Know Your Ship series, which is a series with the history on different warships that are in the game and not in the game and could possibly be in the game. And as of July 15th or so, he's got almost 20,000 subscribers, and with the quality of his channel, no doubt more in the years to come. Chase, welcome. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedule to chat with us and have a few games. And I promise to try not to embarrass you while we play. So usually I let the interviewees introduce themselves here at the start, but I think in this case we all know who you are and understand you don't have a huge amount of time, but I thought we'd get right into the game and start answering some questions. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Say hello to everybody, and we'll just go ahead and get started.
Well, hello everybody, and thanks to Tanks from the Mammeries for, inviting me today to do this interview. Very happy to be here. A bit of a self-introduction. He's done a pretty good job, so I think we should just probably get started, and I will probably answer a whole bunch of questions tonight, and hopefully those will keep you guys entertained as well. So,
All right,
Tanks,
let's jump right in. So
let's do this.
we've picked a Tier 5 Minakaze destroyer for me, and the Furutaka, which is a Tier 5 Japanese cruiser it's a cruiser, right?
Yes, it is.
For Chase. So we're just going to jump right into the battle here, and get started. So you really do a great job with these naval history videos, the sort of Know Your Ship series. How did you get involved in and interested in naval combat and history?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it started a long time ago. I think it was like, I think 6 or 7. And during those times, my dad at night, when nothing else to really do, normal kids, I guess, get bedtime stories. I got sort of stories about naval warfare. And he had, I guess, read them in books, and he thought they were pretty interesting stories compared to, I guess, the usual stories that most kids get to hear. So he shared those stories with me. But it didn't take long for me to, I guess, hear the stories and then start seeking out material in the library, to just sort of further my knowledge. And the more I read, the more I got into it, the more I got into it, the more I went to look for things. So, and that's sort of how I got to where I am now. Just real deep interest in all things naval history oriented, naval warfare oriented, and yeah, I mean, I'm still looking for stuff even now. I mean, I still go into bookstores, and the first thing I do is hit up like the history section and
Right.
look for things naval oriented.
Good
Did that
stuff.
today actually. Went to a bookstore, and that was the first thing I did. Next thing you know, I was sitting there with like 4 books and sort of reading through them. It's actually a lot of fun.
I'm the guy that people give the evil eye to at the Barnes and Noble because I'm sitting in a chair somewhere, taking up all the space. So I'm going to head over to your side of the map here.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna head sort of towards you
Okay.
because the Furutaka, well, it's not the world's best ship. It's playable, but it definitely needs support. You can't just sort of go off by yourself. You're gonna get
Right.
wrecked in the ship.
Right.
So I'm gonna come down and sort of join the fleet a little bit, and hopefully some of them go north because if they all decide to go south, I think we're gonna be in a little bit of trouble too.
I agree. So your dad, I understand your dad used to talk to you about the Bismarck and the Hood and things like that.
Indeed, that's how the whole thing started.
Was he in the Navy?
No, he's not. But I think it was just a story that interested him,
Right.
so he thought I would enjoy it. And for a young kid with not much knowledge of the world, the history was fascinating. Way better than I think a lot of like fairy tales that could have been told to a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Like whoa, this actually happened. Fairy tales. I think at a very young age, I was like, yeah, that's not real.
Yeah.
I was a weird kid.
Well, my grandfather was in the Marines back in the Second World War, and I was always interested in those stories. But he passed away before I had the chance to know him. And last year,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
oh, it's okay. He's an old guy, but um, last year my father put together a whole
Hmm.
collection of all of my grandfather's um, letters that he wrote home during the war,
Wow.
and and gave a history of where he was at the time with maps and all kinds of stuff like that, which was really cool, I thought.
Wow, that's something I would like to see.
Yeah, it was a really nice thing he did there. All
Yeah,
right.
and well, I mean, those kinds of histories, especially the first person kind of histories, it's very nice to actually have them. The important part of, it's an important part of keeping that history relevant and alive.
Yep,
To actually have known somebody who was part of it.
absolutely. And to put the letters in context to what was actually happening at the time, I thought was a really neat thing he did. All right.
Yeah, for sure. Because with so many like first-person interviews, sometimes you do kind of miss that context. I gotta say that, like, you watch some documentaries where they interview a veteran, and you're like, okay, that's nice to hear, but what was actually happening at the time where this made sense, right? So
Yep.
yeah, for sure, the context is very, very important when it comes to first-person accounts of history, especially things as personal as letters home and things like that. So, very, very happy that your dad took the time to do that.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Torpedoes away, and one was already hit.
Okay. I'm sort of south right now, trying to help our I guess destroyer down at this torpedo alley here, trying to just fend off some stuff here, but they have some pretty big ships, so
Roger.
doing what I can.
Now I understand, based on that, interest that you've had, obviously, in doing these videos that you do. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't answer, I'm not going to be upset. Oh, there goes somebody dead.
Oh, nice, good.
Um, you enjoy putting together, obviously, these know your ship histories.
Of course,
Which is
definitely.
which is more fun to you, putting the histories together or playing the game?
I actually enjoy both of them. The Know Your Ship series, on average, each of those videos, the more recent ones have taken me probably a good like 3 days of hard work to put them together.
Right.
So if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it just because how
Yeah.
time consuming it is. But I definitely love it, and for me, I think a game like this is it would miss a lot of stuff without that history. You need that history for this game to feel alive. To understand what you're actually playing, why you're playing it, and what the relevance of playing things, right? And with that particular series as well, a lot of times I wanted to also talk about, let's say countries that normally are outside of normal historical documentaries, right? I mean, I've
Right.
spent, I think, a fair amount of time watching, I think, the History Channel back then when it was still actually history and not pawn shops, and those kinds of shows. I used to watch them, and I always thought that all we ever got really was one side of the story. You heard the stories of the Royal Navy or the United States Navy, and the other side just always felt a little bit missing. You know what I mean? It was like part of that history wasn't there. And for me, playing a ship and then not realizing that there was the other half of the story is the story isn't alive to me. So I had to go and try to make up for it. And there's still much more to be done. I tried to obviously this time around try to actually go do something live, but it didn't really work out, as you are well aware, and I think a lot of my viewers as well are quite aware that I had a pretty bad experience on the Haida when I actually tried to go and present that history sort of live from my perspective. But
Yeah.
that's life, and you do what you can, and eventually I will definitely get around to making other videos, hopefully with a little bit more support from the organizations that may either host the vessels or
Right.
just have some sort of affiliation with them. So, I definitely have fun. Definitely enjoy doing it. It gives me that realism and that sort of historical context for the ships and their histories and the crews that served on them. Because a ship is still at the end of the day a piece of military hardware. And without the crew on board her, it's just a piece of military hardware. The
Absolutely.
crew stories I think, are extremely important. So it's always good to understand, who was on it, what they did, what kind of hardships they faced,
Yep.
things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. I think that if it brings it alive, then it's well worth doing.
For
and, I,
sure.
and I think that's one of the things that makes that series of yours very popular. So, um, okay, good. I want you to know I died already,
Oh, okay.
so we are going to come follow you.
Okay, no problem. I'm
I got hit by
trying.
friendly torpedoes.
Ooh, that's not fun. Happens a lot on the lower tiers. I mean, I'm usually a little bit wary of destroyers and stuff because I have a feeling sometimes they just fire their torpedoes
Yeah,
at things without understanding where their torpedoes are gonna go.
absolutely.
Oh, where the Okay. Yeah, I get a little angsty because I see torpedoes flying around and I don't know who they're from, or I hear these torpedo warnings. Like I just had one there, and I thought the Wicks had decided to throw torpedoes, but luckily for me, nothing happened. Oh, here we go. Oh, I have a bad feeling he's gonna try this. No, 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 no.
Yeah, I'm watching you now, so I'm going to give you a minute to
Yep, no
not
problem.
die.
No, you can keep asking questions. I can, because I stream, I have a decent amount of multitasking
That's just yeah.
going. So, so keep asking, and I'll
You're about
keep.
to get rammed by one of our own team destroyers here.
It's okay. Don't worry. He's small. He's not gonna do much to me. I'm actually trying to head back because we're getting capped. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So keep asking.
Right.
And
So,
I'll just keep fighting.
well, you used to play a good bit about World of Tanks, and when you switched over to World of Warships, um, obviously that's when you had a chance to be the alpha tester. Do you still play World of Tanks at all?
Oh wow. That's yeah. I haven't actually played World of Tanks in quite some time. Pretty much ever since I moved over to the alpha test, I haven't played World of Tanks. I
Right.
was actually a pretty decent World of Tanks player. I think I was like, a blue color with Win 8, so pretty decent player.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Before I got into the alpha test, I was like, oh, just waiting for Warships, right? Once they gave me the alpha invite, I was like, yes, off I go. See you all later, kind of thing.
Right.
So I've been pretty committed to Warships ever since I got the invite, and it's definitely taken over as my main game. And I haven't actually gone back to World of Tanks. Actually, I did try to play one battle once. One of my clanmates wanted to play some World of Tanks with his friends, so I decided to jump on. And oh boy, I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. It's like you're out of practice, and maps changed, and
Yeah.
and yeah, just got wrecked.
Well, there was also a 9.9 update today, which has changed a few things as well. So,
Yeah, I think I'm getting more and more out of date right now.
yeah, and that leads me to the next question, which is that there's obviously a huge difference in the way that the two games are played. And I don't know if a lot of people actually recognize that, but I think, like me, when you look at World of Warships as a game, you really do sort of follow the OODA loop, which is for those of you who don't know what that is observe, orient, decide, and act process. And generally, the further in advance you do it, the better you are. Yeah, this is not
Indeed.
good. Like with most games, I mean, most games you're reacting rather quickly. It's twitch reflexes and things like that, as opposed to really sort of the advanced look at where do I have to be in 2 minutes. You mentioned in the past having to anticipate, actions 30 seconds to a minute out and watch the map to
Yep.
decide where to go even earlier. Do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Well, World of Warships is one of those games that really is very demanding in terms of thinking about where enemy team ships are and how they're going to move and where they're going to be. Now, in this particular case, I had no choice because I was pretty much the only ship back here,
Yep.
and we don't really have much of a team left. So I sort of went in, tried to do as much damage, and try to do things. But typically, what ends up happening is, let's say, for example, you're watching the map, right, and you're seeing that there are, let's say, 3 battleships heading in a southern direction, and you're looking at the battleships from a range, and you know what kind of battleships they are. Let's say, for example, they're American battleships. So they're not the fastest things in the world.
Mhm.
Let's say you're in a destroyer. So what you need to do is you look on the map and you say, okay, assuming that they're going at their top speed, let's say 21 knots, in the next minute and a half to 2 minutes, where will they hypothetically be able to go to? And then what you can do is you look at the map and see, let's say as a destroyer, are there any islands that they might be crossing by? Are there any islands that they might be passing? If they are, can I get there with my destroyer's natural speed, or do I have to use my speed boost? Can I get there in, let's say, the next minute, set up an ambush, and as they're coming around, use my torpedoes, right? So, and sorry.
Oh, I see it. I'm watching the chat too.
Yeah, I'm getting bombarded a little bit.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, that's kind of what I mean by when you got to think ahead, right? You got to
Absolutely.
sort of say, okay, I'm going to go there and execute this action. What can I do,
Yeah.
right? And even, sometimes when you have no decisions, you're at least thinking like, okay, if I go in, like in this case, I had to go in against like an armada of enemy ships. My mindset is, okay, if I go in, can I use my guns? Can I citadel the ship in one salvo or two salvos. If I citadel him, what do I do after that? Do I torp to my starboard side, or do I torpedo to my port side? If I miss, do I torp the ship and then go for a ram? What do you do? You got to sort of predict the outcome ahead of time,
Yeah.
and then if you set the plan, you go. So I went in there and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to citadel their Furutaka, who was, the ship that I can actually citadel quite well had he actually given me a good angle, but he
Right.
didn't. So I went in, tried to citadel him, failed at that, so resorted to torpedoes. Once the torpedoes were out, I knew there was a destroyer that was gonna probably go in front of me and probably launch torpedoes. So I was gonna try to point my nose at the destroyer as I was popping my torpedoes off to my port side. So, torpedo the Furutaka, and then the destroyer, which had, sort of went to where my bow was, launched torpedoes. And since I was pointing my bow at him, I was able to dodge quite easily. The destroyer went to my starboard side. I launched more torpedoes there, killed the destroyer, but then, of course,
Yeah.
couldn't do any more because there's just too big of an armada. It's sort of hypothetically predicting an
Yeah.
outcome and then, acting on it. And that's kind of what, I guess I'm telling your viewers, my viewers about, and
Yeah.
how to do things, sort of ahead of time. So it's very different from at times World of Tanks, where World of Tanks is sort of, okay, in this very spot right here, in the next 30-40 seconds, how do I angle my armor? How do I deal with this micro threat that's in front of me? Because
Right.
with tanks, you can't really deal with other things anyways. It's sort of like, okay, if I'm in this valley, can I go hull down, turret over, and deal with what's in front of me? World of Warships is a little bit different. It's, before I even get there, what's my plan, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what makes World of Warships so different than World of Tanks,
Well,
in my opinion.
the situational awareness in World of Warships is a much broader scale. It's map wide,
Yeah,
and
significantly bigger.
so I think you're talking about the natural progression, though, also from the situational awareness of where do I need to be in 2 minutes to take advantage of an enemy situation as it is unfolding now.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you're closer, you have your target prioritization, which is, what threats can I eliminate at what distance?
Yeah.
What do I anticipate them doing? How do I use their
Yep.
own ships against them?
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
that's what I'm talking about, folks, when I say OODA loop, which is observe, orient, decide, and act. It's almost that exact thing that I just said. So good. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I see it the same way. It's almost like chess. Do you think?
Yeah, it's actually very much like chess. When I was younger, I did actually play quite a bit of chess too. So I think that kind of carried over. It's just
Right.
to really predict an outcome ahead of time and try to act on it. Sometimes it fails, but most times it tends to do me quite good. So, that's definitely an important piece of advice. The whole OODA thing, do it, think about it, and watch your win rates go up after that, to be honest, because if you can get good at that, a lot of engagements you can sort of predict ahead of time, and whether or not it's going to be a winning or losing engagement. If it's going to be a losing one, what do you do to maximize your effect, right? So
Yep.
very important thing to keep in mind.
Yep, absolutely. Good. Well, we're going to do the same ships again, everybody. Different map this time. And it was indeed my own team that torpedoed me very early on in the game. So I wasn't able to contribute any more than that one kill. Hopefully this time it'll be a bit better. We shall see. I'm going to head over towards the seaside there.
Okay. Again, we have to be sort of cautious of where the team is going. Too many times on this battle, I've seen a lot of the cruisers and destroyers take off for C,
Yep.
and then I watch,
Good point.
3 out of the 4 battleships head towards A, and it's like, oh, for God's sakes, come on, right? It's like, your team went this way. Go support them with your big guns. Stop running all the way to A. And then the worst part was the one battle where I had, I think, all 4, oh no, 3 of the 4 battleships on my team go to A, and the only thing they were shooting at A was a tier 1. A tier 1 Hashidate, and I was like, oh my god, for real, you guys? And they took, I think, something like 3 battleships. It took about 4 minutes to kill one tier 1, so it was just an absolute disaster.
Quarter of the battle. That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
Jeez.
it was pretty funny actually.
So let's talk for a second. I mean, we're obviously not playing him tonight, but we do have one on each team. You were playing carriers for quite a while, and you really enjoyed it. And you
Yep.
were pretty vocal in your displeasure when things were changed in one of the patches where they changed some of the squadron loadouts. What exactly changed, and
Yeah.
why did it bother you so much? And is that still your favorite tier or type of ship?
Well, I mean, I'm a pretty decent carrier captain, right? I mean, I don't exclusively play carries. I kind of play everything.
Okay, let me interrupt you just for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
Everybody watching, when he says he's a pretty decent carrier captain, this guy was absolutely amazing as a carrier captain. So, continue.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, what they did was they're trying to pigeonhole, and this is the one big like problem I had with what Wargaming did with carriers. Is they try to pigeonhole individual nations carriers into like a predefined role. So what they did with the American carriers is say, okay, you're not really going to be good for strike. You're pretty much going to be, fighters. And on the Japanese side, they were like, well, your fighters aren't really going to be that good. You're going to be mostly a strike package carrier.
Right.
And in that way, what ends up happening is you have the optimal loadout, and that's it. That's all you've got, and that I think is a problem with carriers. I think carriers should be multi-purpose and multitasking and be able to do and a variety of tasks, right? They should be vulnerable, but not to, just because of their loadout, right? Like
Right.
as a fighter carrier, I should not just be completely
The
immune
enemy team has taken the
to
lead.
an enemy strike carrier. There should still be some kind of limitation, but there isn't right now. Now it's like if you're a fighter and you run into a strike, if, assuming that you're about equal skill level, the strike carrier is just going to get really shut down by you, and it's not much fun for the strike carrier. On the flip side, if you were a fighter carrier and you went into battle and there were no other carriers, then what do? You spend the whole battle just flying your fighters around doing absolutely nothing. Not very fun.
Yeah.
And those problems haven't been resolved, and I think Wargaming, at least from what I've heard from them, they understand that it's a frustration, that there's something that isn't right, and I think that in the long run they will address it. For now, I still play carriers. I got a tier 8 Lexington already, so I do play carriers still. My average damage and everything in carriers is still relatively good, but I'm playing them more, I think, in a way to gain credits, because carriers are relatively good at making money. I think that's primarily why I'm playing them, rather than out of just sheer enjoyment that I did before. I did understand that, of course, in some ways carriers were pretty overpowered. But remember, carriers are pretty overpowered in the hands of the people who are good at them,
Yes, that's
right?
right.
I met one guy the other day where in battle, I'm not going to say names, but he had a tier 9 Taiho, which is a ridiculously overpowered carrier at tier 9, and his average damage in a Taiho was like 50,000. And I'm like, that's nothing. You should be able to easily do 80, 90,000 damage in that high of a tier carrier, but he couldn't. That's because skill, right?
Hmm.
So carriers are still very sort of skill dependent ship. But remember, like the people who are really overpowered, they're the hardcore people who played a lot, and they've sort of really figured out how to play their ships, right? And because of that massive skill ceiling that carriers have, they can be pretty powerful in the right hands. In the wrong hands, they're pretty much paperweight, don't do much. But mostly playing carriers right now for credit gain's sake, rather than just okay, I really have fun with this. I have more fun with destroyers. I think destroyers is where I get my adrenaline rush these days. Carriers, yeah, I play them more just to say, oh, I need money for my next tier.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had started trying to play carriers,
The enemy team has taken the lead.
but I was only doing it in PvE mode, so I wasn't going to upset the team, and so I could learn how to do it in relative peace and quiet, you know.
Yes, that's for sure.
And I also noticed that it would make sense from the standpoint of you would always be matched up with equal tier aircraft and things like that, which I thought was tremendously important.
Well, I mean, at the lower tiers, I guess they're not bad with matching people up with like the equal tiers, but the higher tier right now, the matchmaking is just completely borked. You'll see tier 5s getting matched against tier 8s. It's kind of messed up, and it's something that they're working on, I hope. I do think that out of all ships in the game, carriers are the ones that I think need absolute like both tier and number matchmaking limitations. So if it's one carrier, it's got to be another carrier on the other side. It's got to be 1-for-1, and the tiers have to be the same, because one tier difference in carriers means you completely get to stomp the other carrier, no
Yeah.
problems. The fight, like the power disparity between tiers is just way too big.
Well, speaking of that, oh shoot,
Watch out.
I know I'm gonna get hit by one. Nope.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, the destroyers are very vulnerable to single torpedo hits.
Yep.
They take tremendous amounts of damage from one hit.
Our team is
I'm
taking
trying
the lead.
to. Oh dear God. Okay, what do I do with this one? Oh crap. Okay, trying to Citadel that Phoenix there. There's the Citadel hit, and don't think I'm going to be able to get a kill on him, but hopefully get my guns around in time to Citadel this Phoenix to death again. Give me a second here.
Yep.
Trying to finish him off. And oh, he didn't die. Wow.
Good hit though.
Okay. Sometimes it happens where the armor is just a little bit too far in the. Oh God. The Furutaka has a. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a matchbox. Sometimes it really does burn a little too easily. But let me just get that hit off. Might be enough. Might not be.
Yep.
Well, no, somebody else got him.
Oh, okay.
So I am gonna take off here as quickly as I can.
Yep.
I've lost rudder, lost guns, on fire, lost a bunch of stuff. So, anyways, yeah, continue.
Yeah, I'm actually watching your ship burn away merrily there.
Yeah, I'm happily burning away to nothingness. But once again, if you look at what our team's battleships did, you see where they are. So, big pro tip for you battleship captains out there: if you see a push by your team, go with them. Your big guns are really useful. Don't let your cruisers try to do a push by themselves because it just doesn't work that well. All right, so yep, go on with the questions
Right.
because I think I've kind of gotten away so far. I'll see what I can do to protect this carrier a little bit.
Sure. Well, RNG was a concern you had for a while. Do you think it's still an issue, or do you think Wargaming has done something to resolve it to an extent? I mean, let's talk about the Furutaka
Ooh.
right now.
The RNG, yeah. I think the RNG is a little bit too much, especially you know battleship RNG is just I think a little bit insane.
Yeah.
You know, you could fire, you know, 2 shells out of the same gun, and you could have one go to the bow and one go to the stern, and you're like, oh, come on, for real?
Yep.
But it happens, and I think RNG is a little bit just too much. But on the flip side, you know, you have to understand that a battleship with any better accuracy, you know, in the hands of somebody who knows how to use them, I think they would be absolutely terrifying because they would just simply one-hit every cruiser they see. I mean, I think if you gave me a battleship and made it more accurate, I don't know what kind of damage I could be doing with them.
Sure.
So again, every kind of suggestion to make it more, you know, accurate, less RNG and all that, could at the same time make them stupidly overpowered, right? I think one of the devs said that. Some people said, oh, let's give battleship secondary control to the actual players. So they have manual secondary controls. Yeah, they tried it out. They actually tried it out and didn't work well at all. The battleships were able to wreck every destroyer and every cruiser that came into range just because, you know, main gun fire, then go to secondary, just pound away, and, you know, you're basically immune to everything. Which I don't think is very fun either because destroyers only have one real good chance at sinking a battleship, you know, if they're coming close. So you don't really want to take the fun away completely there. So,
Right.
at the same time that I think that RNG is a little bit too much, I also understand why RNG has to be there. So it's kind of a mixed bag there, shall we say.
Absolutely. What other concerns do you have about the game right now?
That's a good question. I think my biggest concern with the game right now is I at times find that it lacks a little bit of depth. I think that, you know, there's some things missing in the game that makes it not as complex as, let's say, a game like World of Tanks. And the reason why I say that is because World of Tanks is a rather more complex spotting mechanic. You know, you got bushes, you got all that stuff. And I think one of the problems with World of Warships is that something like a spotting system is just way too simplified. There is depth in World of Warships, don't get me wrong, and the depth is quite good at times on certain things, like for example, you know, ship armor layouts and all that stuff. And I think that there is good depth there, but I think that there could be a little bit more, just to make that game a little bit more challenging, to make it a little bit harder. And in that way, in the long run, it'll promote, you know, people to play and master. You know, it's like League of Legends, for example, is a pretty hard game, and people play it because it's a hard game, you know, to master. So I think that for the long-term, like, sort of longevity of the game, that is something that's necessary, and that is the one thing I think is missing right now a little bit of.
I think that's fair enough. I think, though, you know, and I know you'll be the first person to say this, you know, being an open beta, there are a lot of things that they want to bring into the game that I think like any budget-focused organization says, well, we want to do that, but we're going to have to start with something and make some money so that we can afford to pay to do all those other things. Um, but I would like to see some more complexity in it. I'm glad it doesn't have it right now because we're all having a hard enough time. Me, for example, not hitting islands in every single battle that I do, much
Yeah,
less anything else. Yeah,
yeah, and I think it's going to take them time as well. And remember, first things first. I think Wargaming really just wants to flush out a game that people can play
absolutely.
and that is actually fun to play. And I think that's a really very important kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think later on, as the game evolves, just like I think World of Tanks has evolved over time, with the evolution, things will get better, things will get a little bit more complex, things will will change, and I think there's time and a place for all that stuff. So definitely, I guess we should all just sort of be a little bit patient with them. I think they're doing their best, and of course, it's still early on. I mean, this is still in the open beta stage, in the early open beta stages, and I think over time, as they get time to master and change and adjust things will get better. I think in the World of Tanks, to be honest, the initial open beta wasn't exactly perfect either, right? I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of things that have to be done in a video game to make it more and more enjoyable for players to play. Ooh, our poor carrier right now is getting hounded by that destroyer.
Yeah,
and there's not much I could do for it too. It's just like, oh, that's kind of sad.
we're watching.
Trying my best to.
Watch the island.
Yeah, I'm actually more trying to keep this island here as cover for me. There's 2 battleships over there, and a Furitaka going out can get just one-shotted by those battleships if they know where to shoot me. So I'm more like using these islands as sort of a tactical cover and concealment kind of thing. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So back to questions because
Sure. Absolutely.
I'm trying to. I'm gonna be just playing sort of for fun, not really trying to be super serious about it.
No worries. No worries.
We only have 3 ships left, so this is it's more important that I try to stay alive than try to carry the team right now.
So now that we have to regrind all the ships, what ship are you least looking forward to playing?
Least looking forward to play. I've gotten through some of them already, so I'm happy that I've gotten through some of them. I think the ones I'm not looking forward to playing, the Colorado, I think is one of them. I'm actually playing one of the ships that I'm not super looking forward to play, actually, this Furitaka. But in terms of my carriers, I've gotten through some of the frustrating ones. In terms of, I guess, my destroyers, my American destroyers, I haven't started there yet. The Japanese ones, I haven't started there either. So I'm actually not starting destroyers for a while. But in terms of carriers, I got through the frustrating one. The battleships one, Colorado, I'm really dicey about that. The Colorado is not a great ship by any stretch of the imagination. So definitely a little bit dicey on that ship. But in time, everything in time.
Yep. All right. Well, let me ask you this: and if you were the boss of Wargaming for a day, what would you implement in World of Warships, and what one feature would you have to take out?
That is a very good question. I think the biggest thing that I will try to implement into World of Warships, I think, would be like an additional level of complexity when it comes to concealment. So an implementation of maybe like weather, rain squalls, something to make the game a little bit more challenging in terms of the whole spotting mechanics.
Right.
I had to go out there and try to take down that battleship. That was challenging. There's one more battleship in front of me, so I'll see if I can do something about them. There is no guarantees that I will be able to do anything about these battleships, but I will try, because if I don't think my team will win this. So I'm trying to deal with like multiple different threats at the same time here.
Yep.
The Furitaka is not a great ship for going up close and personal with anything, because she's got her weaknesses. Let's just leave it at that. She's definitely got her problems, and oh dear God, and her guns really don't turn exactly super fast. So it's challenge right now to just try to get stuff going.
Yep.
Okay, so I've taken out that battleship. Don't have to worry about him anymore. But my guns, these Furitaka guns, just don't turn. So I'm doing my best trying to get my guns turned and engage this Clemson, but there you go. All right, there we go. Took down 3 ships.
Yep.
And
That was textbook.
that is just
Our
advanced
victory is
planning,
in
right?
sight.
Just sort of thinking through your action ahead of time. Who am I going to kill first, second, and then who am I going to take down last? So
And balance on top of that the danger that all 3 represent in different ways, because
yep.
So long as you could negate the effect of that destroyer's torpedoes, you could focus on the big guns of the battleships and then come
Yep.
back and finish that guy off because he had a reload time for his torpedoes that he
Yep.
wasn't going to beat you on getting your guns.
Yeah, because his only option was to use the other side of his guns. Oh, sorry, the other side of his torps, which means to turn around. And by turning around,
Yep.
that is a pretty big sacrifice you have to make because once you turn away, you're further away. You're giving the enemy player more time to actually conduct an action.
Yep, and you slow down.
Exactly. So I sort of had a chance to deal with the battleships, then deal with the destroyer. Now, right now, there's 2 enemy ships left. There is a St. Louis and there's an Arkansas Beta. Now, this Arkansas Beta is coming up through these islands. So my goal right now is trying to use these islands in front of me here as cover. I want to try to predict where his movement will be. And I think where he will be in the next little while, I think he should be popping out around, I mean, if he continues to go in the straight line, he should be going to around F6. And by the time I get over there, he might be, oh god, there is a St. Louis here. So I will have to turn around and deal with him first because assuming he doesn't, oh, this is going to be a problem. My guns are nowhere in position. So this is not good because the St. Louis has a much easier time killing me than I have a time of killing him right now because my guns aren't on target. But instead of turning my guns, which is a pretty slow turn, I'm going to turn my entire ship and just keep my guns on one side. So when I get around, I will be ready to go. So that's my plan.
Yep.
So let's see what I can do here because right now, as my ship is turned around, you see all of my guns are pretty much on target, and there goes my salvos, right? So there you go.
Yep.
And there's my Confederate. Now, again, I'm going to turn the other way just to, get myself out of that engagement envelope for that Arkansas Beta.
Yep.
And also split the fire between me and that South Carolina because the Arkansas Beta should be focused on our battleship, not me, because I am away from him. So I should be able to lend some fire support to my South Carolina against the Arkansas Beta. My guns are unlikely to penetrate the armor of a battleship, so I have already switched from AP to HE. By the time my ship is turned around and my guns are on target, I should have HE loaded, and my first salvo should hopefully set that battleship on fire. So that is the whole, think ahead, do everything and think ahead. What is going to happen when I turn around? Where am I going to get? What is the necessary shell type? The battleship is not facing me. I have pretty much free reign to hit him with guns over and over and over again. Hopefully burn him down and claim victory for this team.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. The Arkansas Beta has repaired the initial fire damage, so that's good. I mean, I don't know how long South Carolina is going to last, but
He's
I just
got
need
about
him
the
to survive.
same. He's got about a little less health than the Arkansas Beta does.
I just need him to survive that a little bit longer so I can set this Arkansas Beta on fire. And did we win that?
Nope.
I think we did.
Did
Maybe
we?
on points. I think we might have won that on points. Yes, we won on points. So
Certainly
there we
did.
go. So yeah, that's pretty textbook on what Furutaka can accomplish if you sort of think ahead and predict movements and lay out a plan. Got myself a Confederate. My base experience was 1,738, and I think I did somewhere in the range of about 70,000 damage, I think, in a Furutaka. So it's actually a very good battle.
It was a good battle, and everybody is whinging at my battle, right? And they're just wincing. Remember how I said I was going to try not to embarrass you as we play?
Don't worry about it.
Good,
Don't worry about it at
because
all.
I embarrassed you as we played. But what it did was actually get me out of the way so we could just actually watch you and talk to you. So that was actually my entire goal there, folks. Right. Okay.
Yep. Sometimes the best plans are the ones you had in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
Subconscious ones. Best plans ever.
Let's just call it that and leave it there.
Yep, exactly.
That was really bad. All right. Well, hey, look. Let's. Do you want to do one more? Because I've got a couple more questions. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, of course.
Pick. Let's see. Why don't we change ships? Because this is not obviously doing it for me. I'm going to go to the. Let me see here.
You're gonna go with.
Let me think here.
Uh-oh. I think I lost Tanks there for a second.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I was thinking.
Okay.
Engaging brain, not mouth.
No problem.
Why don't I do the St. Louis?
Okay. You can do the St. Louis. You know what? I'll grab a Wyoming.
Okay.
And maybe I can do a little bit of battleship play too. Battleships are very different from cruisers in a lot of ways, so hopefully it'll showcase a different kind of play as well.
Absolutely. All right, good. Let's jump into this one here, and then tell me this, since you've done a really fantastic job sort of explaining theory and method and tactics so far. What are the top 3 rules of the game for World of Warships that you think every player should know before he touches his keyboard?
Oh, wow. That's actually a very good question. 3 rules, huh? Gotta only pick three. Okay.
Yeah, you only get
Let's
3.
see. Let's see. Picking three.
I'm trying to
Okay.
keep this under 2 hours.
All right. So I guess the three big rules that I have is one, learn your shell types. Learn when to use what particular kinds of shells. Too many times I'm watching battleships slinging HE. Never should be slinging HE unless in very unique circumstances, and that's few and far between. So know your shell types and also know where to hit. Because, with HE, for example, even HE, I see people, like, they'll set a ship on fire and then they'll continue to pour HE fire into the exact same spot, and that doesn't do anything anymore. You set one fire in that one spot, and that's it. You got to shoot a different part of the ship, but people don't realize that. So they
Right.
keep pounding HE into the one same spot and only have one fire going and wonder what's wrong with their HE shells. It's like, no, you got to switch fire, go somewhere else. There's an undamaged portion over there. Set that one on fire, right? So, learn your shells, learn what they do, learn where to hit, and watch your damage and everything go up.
Okay.
So that's one rule. Second thing, map awareness is essential if you want to play World of Warships well. This game is extremely cerebral. You've got to think ahead your actions. I would not have pulled off anything close to what I pulled off with that last Furataka battle if I didn't think, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to move, this is where I think people are going to move, and how I'm going to, you got to plan it ahead of time. Not one of those battles where, not one of these games where you can sort of go somewhere, have something happen, and react. If you're reacting, you're dead. That's unless you get real lucky and you get like a magazine detonation. But if you don't plan ahead, you charge in there, you're gonna die.
Yep.
That's the rule of thumb for World of Warships. So think ahead, look at the map, have map awareness. I mean, on my screen, I have my mini map that takes up, I think, like 1/6 of my screen. So my entire bottom right-hand corner is my mini map, blown up to as big as it can go.
Yep.
Allows me to keep an eye out on it at all times to see what's happening. So that's the second golden rule. Third, don't YOLO. Understand the role of your ship. Know what you're supposed to do. Don't just go out there and think you are invincible. A lot of battleship captains go out there, I'm a big bad battleship, I'm invulnerable to everything. Then they get nuked by 3 squadrons of torpedo bombers, and then they rage about it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Know the role of your ship. Understand what you are capable of and what you're not capable of, and then sort of act accordingly.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Three big important rules.
That's perfect. I've seen a lot of battleship guys with the belief that they are like tanks from World of Warcraft or something like that.
Yeah, and they're not.
And they're not. I'm already getting hit by somebody.
So there was an Omaha over there on their team. Had 23,000 health. I salvoed 180 salvo into him, and he's about half health now. So he's not going to be feeling too brave now. And that's the thing about battleships and using the right shell and knowing where to hit. You hurt stuff, and you hurt them bad, and they learn not to decide to, just get all too, YOLO-y to charge out there and do what they want. So again, really important to know which shell type, how to hit, where to hit, and how to do the maximum amount of damage with your particular ship class. And then you can turn the battle. You can really turn how a battle goes. Like last battle, I was in a Furataka, completely turned that battle around, right? We were losing pretty badly at one point in time.
Yep.
And you go out there, you work magic, and you take care of business, and magic happens.
Of course, everybody who's watching me knows I just ran into an island. That's awesome.
No, that's okay. I mean, for me, at times, there are even times where I've run into islands. Again, we do have, pretty, as human beings, and I was a psych major in university, so one of the things that we learned was that, we do have quite limited, abilities to keep track of so many things, and it's true, it happens. So, I do get beached as well. The difference is whether or not you get beached at a really critical time in the battle, or whether you get beached sort of, in a non-essential period of time. So that's, again, something, hopefully with good planning and good sort of foresight, you'll know where to go and how to avoid problems. So again, it does come with a lot of sort of early planning and planning ahead of time, so you don't get messed up by accidentally running into an island and one super important part of the battle where it's like, oh crap, now I'm getting shot at by 6 different ships and I'm stuck.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So I just watched an enemy Phoenix or Omaha or somebody line scrub here. I don't think he did it on purpose.
Right. So the people
there
that
he
he was
goes.
on the border.
Yeah, he was on the border. He's dead.
Yeah. There you go. There was a St. Louis. Again, St. Louis thought he was pretty brave. Took 6 hits from me. Lost 10,000 HP.
Yeah.
Don't think he's feeling too brave.
Let me see here. Let's see what the next question is. Because you have lots of different things tacked behind your name, like alpha tester, closed beta tester, etc. Is there anything that you can tell us that you know of that's coming up in World of Warships that we can look forward to?
Ooh, okay. I gotta think about that one because, as super tester, I'm privileged to know things that are coming, but I'm not allowed to talk about them because of the non-disclosure agreement.
Right.
So, well, I think some public information that I'm not sure if people are aware of or not is that Wargaming is still looking into like for example Japanese carriers. I think they're gonna think about reworking it again in terms of its spread or something like that. So they're definitely continuing to balance the game and to sort of evaluate and deal with things. So I think we should give them that chance to do it. So be patient. I think they're trying their best to to make the best possible naval game that they can. I think the one thing I can't say is that I think, for example, Wargaming is going to be working a lot more with their streamers, and hopefully we'll be able to create a very vibrant streaming community. I was in touch with one of their community people yesterday, and he's telling me there's some pretty exciting things there coming up, so definitely keep an eye out for that, and just I guess cross your fingers and hope for the best. Best way to put it.
I am going to really screw up here, I think, in just a second.
It's okay.
This is not good.
You're in a St. Louis?
Yeah.
Set that battleship on fire.
Yeah.
There you go. I just nuked that St. Louis from range. One Citadel, 3 target hits, and just got nuked for 12,000 right away. So I'm going to try my best to help you with this Arkansas beta. I am going to try to bait him into turning in a way that is beneficial for me to get great shots in on him, and I think he is going to oblige me here. So he is definitely turning around to shoot at you. Just keep laying fire into him,
I had to get behind the island.
Okay. I'm trying my best to just get him to turn around and give me a bigger chunk of his plane to shoot. Oh, sorry. Yeah, bigger part of his ship to shoot at. Because he is... Yeah, it's hard. It is definitely hard. I'm not in the greatest of positions right now.
Yep.
Yeah, this is gonna hurt if he actually gets a salvo in on me right now. So I'm trying to turn and try to get a better angle on him, just so that when he does shoot, it's not massive citadel damage, because we're so close right now. Oh, he's firing HE at me, so I'm actually not worried because HE really isn't gonna hurt me. So yeah, I'm happy that he did that because I'm gonna be able to hurt him real bad right now.
There you go. He's on fire.
There you go. Watch that.
Nice.
3 citadels, and he just got instantaneously nuked in 1 salvo. So yeah, see, that's the difference between firing HE and AP, is I get into a proper position like that. He fires HE and I just laugh it off because the damage is negligible, but I fire back into his citadel and just watch him explode, right? So really, really, really important to learn what your ship can do.
I think that other battleship over there is grounded, and I don't even know if he's still in the game. I thought that happened to him a while back.
Not sure. I'll see what happens. I'll see what's going on there. I'll try to get over there and see what's going on. Oh, okay. So again, that battleship, very interesting. If you read what he just said to me, he said he was so focused in on you that he didn't actually notice me coming in. So that situational awareness, again, something really, really important for all of you out there. Situational awareness is really important in this game. That's where you learn to make the good decisions over the bad decisions, you know? So something to definitely keep in mind. His poor situational awareness pretty much cost him his ship in this battle.
Yep.
And that's something to keep in mind. And I think we've got a pretty easy win here, actually.
Yep. It's all done. I'm just gonna XP pinata this battleship.
Yeah, go for it. I'm letting you set him on fire a few times. I want to finish off that carrier if I can. I don't know if I can squeeze a shot in over here. Oh yeah, I think I can squeeze it. Oh no, there's an island in front of me. Sometimes you just can't get the moments that you want.
That's right.
It's okay, somebody's gonna get him. So I'm gonna turn around and try to finish off that Miyogi, and we're gonna be set.
He's shooting at me. I'm trying to set him on fire. Doesn't seem to be happening.
Oh, there's a Miyogi over here. Except this Miyogi is... I don't know what this Miyogi is doing, actually. Seems to be somewhat... Oh. There you go. That Miyogi is definitely shooting armor piercing, because these 4-2 guns just hit me for citadel damage 10,000, so that hurt a lot. Yeah, he definitely is shooting. Definitely shooting the right ammo type, so... Oh, somebody got him.
There we go.
Torpedoes. There we go. Fantastic.
Excellent. Well, and that's almost it for us. So just a couple more questions, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, of course.
When you're not playing World of Warships or writing history videos about World of Warships, do you have any other hobbies? Do you like reading?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Hobbies. I always kind of say that I have too many hobbies and never enough time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I love doing. I just don't seem to have enough time to do it all. I love reading. I think ever since I was a kid, where most other kids would have money to go and spend on movies and stuff, I pretty much took any bit of allowance I had and I would go and buy books. And I have shelffuls of like random books on random topics. So yeah, definitely a big reader. Although again, these days don't have as much time as I would like to read.
Mm-hmm.
Other things I like doing, I love to cook.
Okay.
I didn't do much cooking until I think I met my girlfriend, and she was big on the cooking thing. So her sort of I guess enthusiasm for cooking really rubbed off on me, and then I think I started to become somewhat more hardcore about cooking, even more so than her at times, and that kind of annoys her. She tries to kick me out of the kitchen sometimes because she wants to do it, and I'm like, no. My turn today.
Absolutely.
So there's that too, and I think there's just too many things to like really list off the top of my head. I mean, games are obviously a big part of my life. Love doing it. Again, love making videos. And just too many interests, not enough time.
Yep. No, I always say that my girlfriend, she has too many hobbies for me, and I feel like I'm on the other side of the arc of my life right now, and I just turned 46 back in July 8th, so
Whoa.
And she's quite a bit younger than me, so she keeps me busy doing stuff and exploring things, and it's fun because it actually gets me out of this chair more often than probably sometimes I want to, but I certainly do.
It's real important.
Yeah.
It's actually real important. I mean, I think I've spent a little bit too much time sitting behind a screen and just playing video games or just doing other stuff in my life. And over the years, I've really felt my health deteriorate. It got to a point where I couldn't walk down the block without feeling that there was that burn in my legs, And, this about a month ago, I kind of just said, I think I've had it with being and just not feeling good, can't walk anywhere, just, overall feeling, like crap.
Right.
So I decided to do something about it. Changed what I ate, changed my diet, started to go out for walks. And, the big thing for me, it was really interesting, was that the walking didn't help. It was the diet that did. I all of a sudden started to eat a lot more, I hate to say, I hate to sound like a nutritionist, but, fruits and vegetables. And, I had like fruits and vegetables for like 3 days, just nothing but that. And I went for a walk, and I walked around like an entire, city block here in Toronto, which, up where I am, it's like 2 kilometers and then another 2 kilometers and then back, right? And I did like almost, I think, 8 kilometers, and I didn't feel a thing. And I was like, I'm doing this right. So, I've kept it up, feeling better than ever, I think now. And I think it's really important, to take care of one's health.
Right.
So for all of you who are out there, who are not taking care of yourself and you're playing games, do take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
It's really important. It allows you to play more. I mean, there's always that benefit in the long run. And take it from me. It's made a big difference for me, and I feel a hell of a lot better. And
Yep.
gaming is now a much more enjoyable activity as well because I feel better. I'm more energized, more focused. And,
Absolutely.
definitely, it's it's important to get out there.
Yeah. Well, I give my girlfriend a lot of crap. She makes smoothies almost every day, fresh fruit smoothies.
Ooh, those
And
sound good.
they you know what? I give her a lot of crap for it because I'm He-Man, meat-eating, bacon lover. But
Yes.
they're actually really good. I mean, I'm never going to tell her that. If she watches this video, I'm busted. But she'll make them pretty much every day, or she'll make a big picture of them and then like keep it in the fridge and have it for 2 days in a row. But it's blueberries, strawberries, kiwi, the whole bit. And they're actually really good. And she makes me
Yeah.
eat salad like 4 times a week. So
Yeah, it's good for you.
yeah, it is. It
It's
really
gonna
is.
keep you kicking. It's
It
gonna keep
certainly
you kicking
does.
for a long period of time.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of hobbies, though, and being up there in Canada, did you ever read Farley Mowat?
Farley Mowat. I don't think so. It might be because I couldn't find any books by him up here,
Yeah.
at least not in the bookstores. And sometimes you miss stuff there that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the library, to be honest, even up here, not well stocked, I have to say, with
Right.
with naval history. And I would say that's maybe because, while Canada had a good naval heritage in terms of duty during World War II and all that, I think overall, I think Canada promotes it a lot less than the States do. I think
Yeah.
the U.S. is a lot better at promoting their history to their I
Yeah.
guess their citizens. Canada, not so much. I mean, I would struggle really to find books in the library, which is why I eventually just resorted to buying them.
Right.
And of course, as a student on limited budgets, it's hard to
Yes.
accumulate a large collection of stuff when you
Yep.
don't really have the money, right? A lot of students are like, I'd rather save that for a meal than
Yep.
book. But I still did whatever I could. My happiest times, actually, truth be told, was when I was in university and I had access to the university stacks. And
Yeah.
in my first 2 years, I worked in the library, and I was one of those librarians, and I was doing the stacks. And I was on the 13th floor of this library, and I found an entire section that was like blueprints of naval warships and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I hate to say this because I feel real guilty about it, but like there were days where I would like grab a book and I would just like read it for 2 hours during my shift. I feel terrible for doing that, but it was so exciting for me just to be able to like see those books and take whatever I could home. And yeah, those were good days. But ever since I left university, obviously I had no access to the library anymore, so it's kind of painful.
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate here in D.C. to have both incredible museums and great libraries.
Oh, for sure.
But Farley Mowat, if you have the opportunity to go onto Amazon or something, check his stuff out because he wrote a book about owls when he was younger. It took place in Saskatchewan, and he raised these two great horned owls, and that was a fantastic book. And then later on in life, he did a lot of naval stories up in Newfoundland and places like that. And he has a great book about a salvage tug during the Second World War that works out of I want to say around Prince Edward Island and the big sort of North Atlantic, but on the U.S. coast side of things. And his books are Canadian maritime history, true Canadian maritime history. They're fantastic stories, and I recommend for anybody who has the opportunity. I read them all as a kid, and they're all out of print, so you'd have to go to Amazon or something to find them. But they are really, really, really good books. So.
Well,
Anyway.
I'll definitely keep an eye out for those.
Yeah.
I mean, I do go to used bookstores, so
Yep.
maybe somebody has a copy lying around. See
Absolutely.
if I can snag some. That
Yep.
definitely sounds interesting to me.
Well, look, this is this has gone long once again, and I'm going to go ahead and we'll wrap it up. I really do appreciate you carrying me through at least one of those wins, and it was
Anytime.
a
Glad I could
pleasure
help.
pleasure to play with you. And
You too. It was fun.
I'm going to give you the last word. So go ahead. Is there anything you want to say? Go ahead and say it now, and then we'll close it out.
Well, I guess the biggest thing I can say is, guys, support the YouTubers that are working hard to provide you with World of Warships content. Thanks for the Mammeries. He's new. He's up and coming. I would say he's working hard. So if you're one of my viewers and you're here watching the interview, give him a sub. Give him a chance to impress you. And yeah, go support the little guys as well. I think it's real important to have a vibrant YouTube community. So we have a lot of different perspectives on things. So yeah, I think that's the last thing I want to say today.
Beautiful. Hey, all right, everybody, that's it. I'd like to thank Chase for taking the time to sail today. I hope you all enjoyed both the fights and the chats. Not so much my fight as his fight. But remember, you can tune into his Twitch channel as well as YouTube. Catch all the latest at iChaseGaming, all one word, iChaseGaming. He's also accepting replays at chasegamingtv@gmail.com. Everybody, again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, Chase, for taking the time out for me. And I will, everybody who does watch this doesn't know Chase, please check him out as well. Again, he's got great stuff about how to play your ships, about the history behind a bunch of ships. That's how I ran into him. I was looking to figure out how to drop torpedoes, and how to basically survive. And he has, although you guys can't tell, he's actually improved my gameplay significantly. So, Chase, again, thanks very much for joining in with us tonight.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it, and we will see you guys on the water. Take care, everybody.
Take care.